I've been thinking about the contents and specifics around making this video for probably the past 3-4 weeks now. So now I'm just gonna make it. This is 5 years of business knowledge in however long this video turns out to be. So this video is going to be useful for photographers and filmmakers who want to make a living in this industry, and maybe they want to understand, how to get started, or maybe you're, a few years in and you just want to understand how to continue to scale your business and grow it past the certain level that you've arrived at. So I'm going to dive right into it here. The first thing that you want to do is seek mentorship. All right. So that is step number one. Now I don't mean mentorship in terms of, finding some online guru or even taking an online course or anything. I mean real old school mentorship. Depending on the type of work you want to be doing with your camera, whether it's photo or video or a bit of both, you want to, look in your local community and you want to find somebody who is doing pretty much exactly what you want to be doing. And then all you're going to do is you're going to reach out to that person. Maybe they don't know you, maybe they do. It's better if they do know you. In my case, I was living out west and I decided I want to be a photographer. So I called up this guy Mike and I said, hey man, I want to be a photographer. And he said, cool, let me know if you ever come back home and give me a shout. I did just that. And then I just worked with him and absorbed everything that he knew like a sponge. So when you're seeking out this mentor and you're wanting to work with them, don't try to, contact them and say, hey, what's up? Like, give me a job. This world is not like that, like the creative industry. We can't ask first. First, we have to give some sort of value to this person that we're wanting to learn from, right? So that's basically going to be approaching them and just giving a helping hand. If it's like a photographer who maybe works with lights, just say, hey, can I come be your assistant? I'll do anything. You obviously don't have to pay me. Can I just come follow you around on shoots? And I would just love to learn from you and work with you, and hopefully maybe at some point you could actually use me for something, like send me on shoots, or have me be a second shooter on a wedding, or something to that degree of aid that you can give them. So you're going to work with this mentor. You're going to be transparent, and you're going to spend as much time as you can with that person. Again, back to me, I was a carpenter before I decided I wanted to be a photographer, and this photographer just happened to be building a brand new studio in my hometown. So I went to that studio every single day and I helped him build the studio. And throughout that process, we obviously bonded over the building. And then once it was done, I just kept going there. I went there every single night. I had a day job at that time, and I just went and worked with Mike and took pictures and culled through photos for him. And I learned everything I needed to know to be a professional photographer. Now, this part here leads me to the next step. And this is going to be kind of, I'd say, if you're just starting, this is going to be 6 months in, maybe 8 months to a year in. You're going to decide your direction. You want to understand where you're going with this. Do you want to be a wedding photographer? Do you want to be a product photographer? Do you want to shoot for brands? Do you want to do real estate? It's literally infinite. Events. You want to ideally be working with somebody who has given you an idea of all these different types of niches that you can possibly be working in, and then you're gonna decide what to do when you start to make money for yourself. Now, if you are a photographer, then it would be really, really wise to learn how to do video. At least I found I was searching around trying to get work doing photography outside of working with this mentor, and it was very challenging. Not a lot of people wanted to pay a lot of money for photography. So, you know, I would say if you are doing photo, you have the camera that can do video anyways. Do yourself a favor. You can learn this on YouTube. You can learn it anywhere. Just learn how to shoot video, because then you can actually provide that to somebody as a service, right? So, coming back to this, once you started with mentorship, you're going to then move into get clients. Okay, you're going to try to get your own clients after you've gone through sort of this self-subscribed mentorship program with this local photographer or video producer, filmmaker. And the way to do that is free to fee. You don't really have much to barter with. Nobody knows who you are, and furthermore, nobody really cares, because if you're doing this as a profession, it's not about like making pretty photos or making nice videos that are cinematic. It's about like actually doing something for somebody. It's the exchange of value, right? So learn how to provide value, right? So that falls into this get clients sort of section. And the only way to learn how to provide value is to just start working with people. And the only way to just start working with people is, again, the same concept as the mentorship situation is like not going to someone and saying like, hey, like, give me $5,000 and I'll make you a video. What you want to do is you want to reach out to, you know, say you go the path of like you want to be more kind of like a marketing kind of photo video person. You're just going to call up local business owners, and you're going to have, you know, as many conversations with them as you need to for them to understand that you're this young guy or girl, and you're trying to build a portfolio. You want to do this professionally, and you would really appreciate if you could, you know, take some photos or make some videos for them, and they can use them, they can have them for free. Maybe they can like tag you if they post it on socials. And in doing that, you're going to get a couple of things. First of all, you're going to be giving value first, right? So you're going to show that business owner like, hey, like this person is really good at doing this, and I put it online and somebody reached out to me and you know, hired me to, say it's a contractor, hired me to like renovate their bathroom because of these photos and videos. Like, I should be paying this person, right? And that's how these things tend to go. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. What matters is the fact that, you know, you're creating things that are valuable to that person. Like even for a wedding, like if you have like a cousin or a brother or sister, or anybody who's just friends or distant relatives who are getting married, like reach out to them and say, hey, I'm just learning how to shoot wedding videos. Like, would you mind if I shot you one for free? You don't have to pay for it. You can have it. I can't promise it's going to be great, but I would really love to make a video for you, just because I'm trying to build up a portfolio for myself so I can sell this to more people. And they're very likely going to be super down. Like, yeah, of course, yeah, come shoot the video, please. So this is challenging, the get clients part. There's no right or wrong way to do it. It's like, just remember the idea of give that value first, do things for free. Remember, you love doing this, right? Like, don't quit your day job. Don't stop earning money from your job and like bank on doing this, because all that's going to do is going to give you like a really, really crappy energy that you're putting off. You're going to be desperate, and people can pick up on that, even if like you're not saying anything that sounds desperate, or you're not like behaving in a way that seems desperate. You're giving that off. You want to have an abundance mindset, and you know, whether you make money from this or not, you're still paying your rent, or you know, your bills, your insurance. You're still good. You should never step away from your day job until the income you're making from these clients that are now paying you replaces that day job income. Okay, So, you know, once you get these clients, it's very likely that, you know, you're going to start very broad. Okay, you'll likely just shoot everything. You know, I shot music videos and weddings and headshots, portraits, like band group photos. I shot stuff for eye doctors, Performing Arts Center. I worked with a marketing company and they would sub me out to shoot stuff for their clients. You're likely going to be very, very broad like that at the start. And that's okay, because you're getting your footing, you're understanding what, you know, first of all, what you like to shoot. And second of all, you're going to really start to just get a really good idea of, you know, client relations, how to have conversations, how to pitch ideas, how long it takes you to do things. Because that's the very next step here, and like a super important thing to grasp is like, how long does it take me to do this thing? Because that is going to dictate what you charge these clients, right? So once, and you can throw numbers around and just make it up as you go at this point, but at a certain point in time, you have to kind of go to the next step, which is set your rates. Okay. This is a very subjective thing. Like it depends on how you value yourself. It depends on like the local market that you're working within, because a lot of this is going to be local businesses or local people that you're kind of working with. You're going to have the ecosystem of, you know, like probably like an hour long drive anywhere you're going to do these projects. So it really comes down to like, what do you want to make in an hour? And, you know, remember at this point, you still have a day job, right? You're still making money, you're covered, you're good. What would feel like pretty cool to charge? I mean, if say you have a job right now and you're making like 25, 30 bucks an hour full time, it's, you know, it's not great, but it's fine. You're getting by. It'd probably be pretty cool to like, you know, make 50 bucks an hour. All right. So like, let's start at that. You start at 50 per hour. Okay. But you're not charging people $50 per hour to do something. You're charging people a half day rate and a full day rate. Because if you're throwing around specific hours, people can get very finicky about like how long specifically it takes you to do something. So when you say something like half day rate, full day rate, all right? So half day and full day, we're talking about like, we're gonna call a half day 5 hours, but it doesn't matter if you work like 2 hours or 5 hours or even like 1 hour. The half day rate is the minimum, okay? So for that, 51, 52, 50, okay? So your half day rate at 50 an hour will be $250. Your full day rate will be $500. Now, these are like beginner numbers. They're very humble, and they should be, because you're learning as you go, right? Try not to get ahead of yourself. Try not to get like greedy and overly excited. Keep these numbers, you know, around this point, and it doesn't have to be this. This is just an example. Like you pick the rate you want, but as time goes on, like that rate of calculating what you do is going to increase, right? So it's going to go from 50 to 100 to 150 to 200, and when you're sort of estimating out what you need to do for these clients and what it's going to cost them, say you want to go and do, you know, some video reels for a small business, like a local business. Say it's going to take a half a day, and you're sort of factoring in like, okay, well, it's 15 minutes from my house, and it's going to take me maybe 2 hours to make these videos, 15 minutes back. That's a half day, right? Because you're also factoring in like the mental time it takes to prepare for that. You're factoring in, you know, like some drive time, some fuel. Don't get into details about how many hours it's taking to do things. Just kind of keep it loose. Like don't get into it. So that's gonna be the half day for shooting all this, and then maybe it's gonna take you 2 days to edit it. So that's, you know, $500, $1,000, $1,250. I'll come and shoot this for you. It'll take me a couple hours to shoot, and it's going to take me a couple of days to edit it. That's $1,250. And then what's going to happen is people will say yes, people will say no, and you just kind of keep moving through it. So once you've set your initial rates, you're going to want to now take these clients that you have started to absorb and work with regularly, because if you're adding value, you're getting results from people, they're going to continue to come back, right? So once you've done that, you're going to nurture the relationship. Okay, nurturing the relationship is very easy, yet sometimes we can forget to do it. The last thing we want in business, because you are self-employed, you're running a business for yourself, the last thing you want to do is become complacent and like distant. You don't want to do a project for somebody and it's just very transactional. You don't want to go and shoot it and do it and here's your stuff and okay, send me money now. You want to nurture that relationship. So good ways of doing that are like a Christmas card with some kind of nice gift card in it. You give that to any client you're working with for Christmas time. You let them know that you appreciate them. You write down when their birthday is, and you wish them a happy birthday. I know you can do that on Facebook usually, but if you don't go on Facebook, find out when their birthday is, wish them a happy birthday. Just call them and say hey. Just hey, how you doing? Just want to see how life is. Just chat. Shoot the shit. Talk about life. Another good thing you could do is even just socialize with them, hang out, go out for a coffee or a drink or grab a meal or something. Just keep in touch with these people, and really, when you're doing these projects for them, go above and beyond. Don't just give them what you agreed to and then say okay, that's all you get. If you agreed to giving them say 3-4 Instagram reels, give them 7 and don't charge them for it. Or do stuff for free every once in a while. Hey, no, I'm just grateful for what we've been doing together, and I'm not going to charge you for this. Just thank you for your business. That's how I got to the next step, which was this is the exciting part, because this is where it becomes more of a career. It becomes consistent and predictable. The next step here, actually, there's one before that. There's one before that one that I had mentioned, but I'll come back to that. The one after nurture here. So you're nurturing the relationships. Now you're going to find help. This wouldn't have occurred to me if it didn't just come to me. I had a mutual friend, Graham, who he had a buddy of his, and he was roommates with this guy, John. And he's like, hey, Jay, John is really wanting to become a photographer. Do you think you could talk to him? And I was like, yeah, that's sweet. It felt cool to get to that point where, somebody wanted to talk to me about doing photography, kind of like how I had called that guy Mike. So this was only a year in for me. I started in 2019. It's around early 2020. It was certainly before COVID. So yeah, I had a phone call with John, and we just chatted. He said, I want to be a photographer, and I gave him the same spiel I kind of gave at the beginning of this. I'm that's cool. I am a photographer first, but if you want to make money doing this, you gotta learn video. And he was very intrigued by that, and then he just started coming by my office I had at the time, and I just had him do small tasks for me. He'd sit beside me and edit. He would come to shoots with me and just kind of hold lights and do sound stuff. I'd have him listen to audio while I was doing it, and then he just kind of evolved and evolved and evolved and evolved. I paid for a color grading course for him to take so he could get better at color grading. I paid for an editing course for him to take. I gave him old gear that I didn't want to use anymore. And that he really, really, really appreciated that. And because he appreciated that so much, he's still, depending on when you watch this video, if you're watching it right now, date of recording, he's still working with me. It's been four years. And, from the beginning of that relationship, I just kind of knew with him that it was going to be something pretty cool where he could help me out a lot, and I could help him out a lot. So when you're looking for your help, make sure it's going to be a reciprocal situation. Like, trust your gut. If you're talking to someone, you're kind of getting the inclination that they just want to like use you. They just want to like take all your knowledge and then like just fuck off somewhere and do their own thing, then maybe be a little cautious with that. But like if you know and you can get a general sense from this person that they're a good person, they've got good intentions, then just keep hanging out with them and find a way to pay them, right? For me, it was my mission to get John out of his job. Like he was literally sorting vegetables in a restaurant, like in the basement. He was just sorting vegetables, and he was a happy enough guy, but like he was an artsy, creative guy, so it obviously sucked. So it was my top priority to get him out of that job. So that brings me to the next step, which is something I had touched on that I had said it was going to be after nurture. After you find help, you want to find a way of keeping that help, right? Because now it's, the gears are turning, you're starting to get some momentum, right? You want to keep that going. So you want to keep leveling up over and over and over and over again. So the next step is retainers. Retainers evolved and revolutionized the way that my whole thing here operates. It's the thing that gave me the confidence to say to John, hey dude, I want to pay you like this much per hour, which by that time it was like quite substantially less than my hourly rate. So like, me pricing something out, getting a job, and then having him do chunks of that, that's another way to even maximize your profits even more in the business, right? But I couldn't guarantee to him that I would have work for him to do unless I guaranteed that I had work to do. So the way to do that is to get this retainer here, right? And you get the retainer by nurturing the relationships that you built with those initial clients that you did stuff for free for. So like you added value from the start, then you nurtured that relationship, kept doing work together. And now after you've found this help, you want to keep him around or keep her around, you are going to sign a retainer with any of these clients that have been with you from the beginning, or even just for a year or something. But the thing is, you need to have that that camaraderie. You have to have mutual respect for each other to make such a request. You can sell a retainer to somebody like cold. You can just meet them and be like, hey, like let's work together for a year, sign this contract, and like people will do it. I have done that, but like it's challenging. It makes you doubt yourself. I mean, you can do it. But just this is like almost a cheat code. Like just be awesome to be around and make cool stuff that people love, and then they're like, man, yeah, like I'm already paying you, like, we're paying probably like $4,500 a month anyways. Like, can you do better than that? And that's where you kind of give them a deal. You're like, okay, let's look at the deliverables, right? And let's look at what you've been paying on average, and let's arrive at something that it's beneficial for them because it's holding them accountable to be consistent with their content creation, like their marketing stuff. And it's obviously good for you because you have consistency, so you can pay your help and pay yourself regularly. It just makes you sleep better at night. So the way to arrive at the idea for what you're going to charge a retainer, what you're going to do for them, is taking the average of basically the deliverables, right? You're going to take the, I don't know, I said deliver at. You're going to take the deliverables and you're going to take the rate that you were charging them on average for like that past. It could even be like, I don't know, like 3 to 6 months or a year. Like what what were they paying you every single month anyways, just by calling you? So you're going to take that number and you're just going to call them up and be casual about, like, hey, you know, we've been working together for a while now. I'm really enjoying working with you. I'm sure that's mutual. And they'll say yes, of course. And you're going to basically pitch sorry, I got lost in thought. You're going to take the average of what they were paying you every single month, and you're going to, you know, reiterate to them that if they decide that they want to work with you every single month, and, you know, commit to working with you for a year, then this is the number it's going to cost. For me, with my client, the first one that I did the retainer with, I feel it was around, like, I think maybe like $2,800 per month or something, which was, you know, that was pretty fair. I think I went out and shot once a month and created, you know, like so many social media posts for them. But as time went on, they needed more and more and more and more. Like there came a situation where he had a falling out with his web guy. So I, you know, again, coming back to finding help, I put John on that. I said, John, you have to learn how to do WordPress. And he didn't want to do it. Bless his soul. He did do it. It was hard, but because this client had a falling out with their web guy, and we stepped in and we were able to take that over for him instead of like I'm not like a web designer guy or like really a marketing guy. I'm a photographer and a filmmaker, but I saw an opportunity to, you know, add more value to his business. And in the long run, I mean, he could have gone to some other web guy. Maybe that web guy did photo and video with, like, you know, some other freelancer, and I would have lost that client. So like when you get into a retainer, you can start to value stack and skill stack. Meaning, the first job I ever did with this client I'm talking about was a video. I did a free one for one of his competitors. He messaged me on Instagram and he said, I want one of those. And I said, okay, it's, I don't know. You know, now remember I was like a few months into it. I'm like, $1,500. And he said, okay, cool. And then he just kept calling me and kept calling me and kept calling me. And then it was photography and more videos. So that's what we built the basis of our relationship on. And now, at the time of recording this, I do photography twice per month, video twice per month. We write blogs twice per month. We run their website. We do Google posting. We run YouTube ads. We run Instagram ads. We do physical stuff. John designed. He's got a really good eye for it, like a better eye than me. He designed a brochure for them that they use at trade shows. So I've basically, as the years have gone on, it's been, you know, 4 or 5 years now, I've just leveled up that retainer as we've gone on. Now, the interesting thing with the retainer is that beyond like you getting profits every month and it's predictable, and beyond them remaining consistent, just want to make sure this is still, yeah, we're good. Beyond you earning consistent income, beyond them being consistent with themselves, you're also going to start to get a lot of data surrounding the type of client that you're working with. So for me, excuse me, sorry. For me, I like the construction world, like general contracting. I like houses and architecture and buildings. That's just something I really like a lot. I used to build tree forts, and I've always romanticized buildings and houses. So working with a general contractor, you know, it became very second nature to me. And because I had worked with this guy for so long, I started to think, like, what if I took exactly what I'm doing for him and I just started to replicate that in like some sort of sales pitch, right? that becomes infinitely valuable because now you actually have a product that you can pitch to people, right? So after the retainer step, you want to scale. And the way you scale, again, is by getting some sort of understanding of what you're selling, why it's valuable, and who you're selling it to. I mean, for me, and you have to tiptoe around this sometimes because I've started to get into a situation where it's becoming a bit of a conflict of interest, and I have to dial it down a bit, just from a moral standpoint. I basically, at a certain point in time, reached out to, I'd say probably like 50 to 60 general contractors in the area that this guy was working in. And they all knew that I was working with him for a long time, and they knew that, you know, what I was doing for him was really good. And maybe they just never thought to like ask or do it themselves because none of them were doing it. So, you know, I reached out to a bunch of them, and I got three more clients out of that. One who was signed a retainer, and one who wanted to rebuild his website, which, you know, I now have experience doing that. So we took that on, and the only reason I was able to do that was because I consistently worked with this one type of client here for so many years. So part of scaling is basically taking a blueprint and a system and applying it to, you know, the same sort of market. So once you have scaled in that specific type of market with that specific type of client, the next thing you want to do is kind of counterintuitive. You actually want to diversify. I mean, this is no different than like investing in stocks or something like that, or real estate. You want to have a diversified portfolio of clientele because, I mean, first of all, you can't have like one massive client that's like most of your billings, because if something happens to them, like even if like the owner got hurt or something and, you know, they went under, you would really be scrambling to replace that income you're getting. There's also the issue of, you know, like creative fatigue. It can become extremely dull to shoot and create and have the same conversations, you know, just in terms of the exact same subject matter over and over and over and over again, day in, day out, no matter how much you love it. Like, it doesn't matter how much you love hamburgers. If you have like 20 a day, like you probably still enjoy it, but you're not going to be as amped about it. So, you know, appreciating something is really easy when you have, you know, the opposite in something else. You know, we enjoy the daytime because there's the night. We enjoy the summertime because it can get cold in the winter depending on where you're living. Now, as far as diversifying goes, it simply means, you know, once you've scaled, right? So once you've done this, like in scaling, you need to stabilize. I think that's how you spell stabilize. You need to stabilize everything within that scaling. And once you have accomplished that, meaning once you have reached, you know, in this retainer realm, once you've reached that number that you'd like to have every month, you know, whether that's like 15,000, 20,000 plus, whatever it is for you, depending on, you know, the size of your team, because you'll need a team to scale anywhere past that. You know, if your day rate is $1,000, and you're charging like appropriately in like a morally correct way, that's only $31,000. If you want to make like $40,000, $50,000, $100,000 per month as a creator, then you need to have a bigger team, right? But in order to have a bigger team, your income stream needs to be stable. You can't just, you know, hope you catch the fish. You know, you have to have like a really solid system in place that's actually bringing that income in consistently every single month. So once you've done that, you diversify. And when you're diversifying, really I like to look at it like, look at our ancestors. You're maybe looking for like new hunting grounds, right? Because that's what this is. It's the modern day version of hunter gatherer. We are hunter gatherers in our DNA. So you're just going to new hunting grounds and you're trying to figure out like, is there something here that like I kind of like this thing too, and maybe I can repeat all of this with this type of client. But now like you're seasoned, you're maybe like 2, 3, 4 years in it, and you understand what is valuable to a potential client. You understand what works in terms of content creation and distribution more than you don't. And you understand the technicalities around doing it, right? You're faster, you're more efficient, you're better at having conversations. So now you can start to approach new types of clients. So for me, mainly general contractors, right? But I now find myself having conversations with new types of people. So I've now started to have a conversation with someone who's actually an old friend of mine. He has a clothing line. So now we're starting to work together. I've also started to rekindle conversations with an arborist who needs a new website and needs all this content made. I enjoy those things. I enjoy Vince, the guy I've been starting to talk to again about the clothing line stuff, and I enjoy the conversations I'm having with the arborist business owners. So, really in diversifying the types of clients that you're starting to work with, that's reinvigorating yourself as a creator. It's obviously pumping more profits into your business, and it's allowing you to grow and scale even further. Now, beyond this is the last and final step, which is maintain healthy mindset. Now, in anything you do, there's this thing called the Dunning-Kruger effect. And the Dunning-Kruger effect is basically this idea of, I got no room left here. I'm going to draw it right here. There's this chart, right? And, this is time, and this is quality of output, right? You start something and you're here, right? You're way at the top. You're excited about it. You're continuing to push yourself and dig down. You want to accomplish all these lofty goals you set for yourself, and you have this false sense of confidence. You're like, man, like I'm the best at this. Like I can do this forever. I can work 12 hours a day, get up at 5 a.m. I'm gonna make $1 million in a year. And you truly believe that, and you do really put that output out for a long time. But then what happens is this happens. It falls off aggressively, like pretty quickly too. Usually within 1, 2, 3 years, you are completely falling off, and you're gonna reach that point where you do start to question yourself, and you're like, can I keep doing this? Am I any good at this? Should I just stop? Should I give up? You need to ignore that, and that's part of this maintain a healthy mindset bit, the last step in this whole mess of whatever this is. Because you're down at this point, low, so you're burnt out, right? But you start to creep up a bit, and then it dips again, but then you creep up even higher. And then it dips way down here. You creep up even higher, and then it really gets up to this point that you were originally at. But this time around, you've earned it, right? You've put in the years of work and effort. You're constantly leveling up your skill set, your mindset, and the amount of profits you're bringing in, the amount of positive change that you can make in other people's lives. And you get back up to this point. All you have to do is maintain that, and that's not all that hard to do. Really, it's just being honest with yourself and listening to yourself. It's good to take advice from people for sure, but for the most part, you really need to be in touch with your goals, your desires, why you do what you do. Why is a big thing. I mean, at I just have this handy here. This was my father. He passed away. And at the start of all this, like he passed away right when I started my business. And that was like my fire, that was like, my dad died, I'm only 29, and I am going to, do everything that he couldn't do. But the problem with something like that is that, that fades away. Obviously, I think about him every day, and if you've ever lost anybody, I'm sure you can understand. But like using spite is like an energy force, or like, I don't know if it's called that in that instance, like something to that effect. Using that is a really weak energy source. Like it goes away because that person's gone, right? I have this handy too. This now is my wife. This is my fiance, and I love her very much. And I feel a sense of duty to build a good life for her and our future family. So if you are somewhere at this point and you're crawling back up to the top, you don't have to go looking for that reason why. And it's going to be different for everybody, but that reason why is just going to appear to you one day. And then you need to then nurture that, right? Once you've done all this and you've got to a stable, solid point in your business, in your career, all you need to do is nurture yourself, right? Now, there are multiple ways to do that. Again, I'm running out of room here. I'll put it right here. This is the mindset section. There are multiple ways to do that. Number one, read books. Like even if you didn't care about school, you didn't read textbooks. Like a textbook is vastly different than reading Think and Grow Rich or How to Win Friends and Influence People, the Celestine Prophecy. James R. Doughty has a new book that's amazing. Like get up in the morning or like do it at night whenever you feel like it, but read things that brainwash yourself into continuing to be the person that you have become, right? Because if you lose touch with that, then you literally can just lose all this, right? It takes a lot of responsibility to yourself and a lot of responsibility to the people around you that care about you and who you care about as well. So along with reading, meditate. I'm just going to leave that there. It is a touchy subject. It is different for everybody. I personally practice traditional meditation, which it's not like a serious, weird, go sit in a room and light incense and say Om for 3 hours. I do it for 15 minutes in the morning and that's it. And what it does is it kind of just reminds me of what's in my mind. The time recording, David Lynch has just passed away, and he had a great transcendental meditation regiment that he used. You should look into that and look into him a little bit and like how powerful he was as a creative force. And I think meditation has a lot to do with that. Third thing is exercise. This is a tricky one. I don't know your situation. Everybody's is different. For me, I never gave a shit about exercising ever. I went to university, I drank a lot, I chain smoked, I treated myself very poorly, and this also comes into like the health realm, watch your health. So along with exercise, like eat right. Water, stay hydrated. I didn't mean to cross that out, I was trying to underline it. I got in a motorcycle accident. This video's been quite long, I don't remember if I mentioned that. I got in a motorcycle accident, I broke my leg. I had to learn how to walk again. Thankfully I had help. John kept me profitable. But, through that process, through understanding my body, understanding just the whole, if you don't use it or you don't know what you got till it's gone type thing. I was severely disrespecting my body, and when I had to regrow a bone and all the muscle and ligament that was damaged there, like in the physio and everything, I was really thinking about like, what am I putting in my body and what am I doing with my body, you know? So I started eating like extremely healthy. I go to a local farm down the road. That's where I get all my meat and produce, dairy, all that. So that was one. And I started lifting weights. I had never done that before. I never had any interest in it. But as I noticed myself, you know, over the months of physio starting to get strength in my leg, it's like, oh, like this feels good. You know, I feel good doing this. How can I continue this? So I started exercising a lot. The next part of maintaining a healthy mindset is grounding. This is different for everybody. For me, it's become getting my dog and going out in the forest every day, every single day, no matter what. Even it's dark out. I just went outside. There's a blizzard outside. I brought her out, went into the forest, put a headlamp on. It's become extremely important to me for, you know, resetting myself, calming myself down, stepping away from screens that were around all day, every single day. That is extremely important to me. And the last part of maintaining a healthy mindset is relationships. The relationships that you are in are the gateway to, you know, who you are as a person. And this is relationships with everybody. This is like your spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend. This is your brother or sister, your cousins, your friends, your parents, aunts, uncles, anybody that's ever been in your life. And, you know, you see being in your life for the foreseeable future. They're very important, because like if you don't have people around you celebrating these successes and enjoying life with you, then, you know, what's this all really for? I think it was in that movie Into the Wild where he ate those berries and he was dying in the bus, and he wrote, "Happiness is only real when shared." And that's something that's always stuck with me. So really stay on top of maintaining good relationships with people that have nothing to do with your business. Share things with people, have experiences with people. And, you know, all that to say, thank you for watching this. Again, you know, I've been thinking about this for quite a few weeks now, and I kind of loosely mapped it out in my head, and I knew I just kind of wanted to go for it and put it all on the whiteboard. So I hope you gained something from it. And, yeah, have a good one.